Hello friends, welcome to Rudra IAS. My name is Kumar Anuj. My dear friends, the topic of our today's lecture is going to be COP30 Summit because this COP30 Summit was very much in news almost throughout the month of November 2025. Why in news? Why in news? Because it recently concluded on 22nd of November in Belém city of Brazil, in South America. And it was also in news because of an incident, a fire incident that took place, a fire incident, my friends, a fire incident that took place at the blue zone inside the blue zone of the summit. My friends, blue zone is the core area of the summit where delegates stay and all the official negotiations they take place. And because of this fire incident that took place inside the blue zone of the summit, it required evacuation efforts, and that's why the summit itself got delayed by several hours. So that's why this topic COP30 becomes very important, because in itself COP30 summits are very important for our exam perspective, but this year's summit is especially important because of few reasons we'll discuss further. So that's why this is going to be our topic of discussion in today's lecture. Now, my friends, when we talk about COP30, so for our basic understanding, COP30, it stands for 30th conference, 30th in number, 30th conference, my friends, 30th conference of parties to UNFCCC. It stands for 30th conference, meaning 30th summit of the parties to UNFCCC. Now, my friends, the question arises that what is UNFCCC and what is the entire framework of COP summits? So to have a look and to have a broader understanding of UNFCCC and COP summits, we will have to go back. In 1992, when a very renowned summit, my friends, took place, and we know it as Earth Summit. We know this summit as Earth Summit. It took place in 1992, and it is officially known as United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, my friends. And this Earth Summit, it took place in Rio de Janeiro, city of Brazil. Rio de Janeiro is a coastal city in Brazil situated along the coast of southern Atlantic Ocean. And since this Earth Summit took place in Rio city of Brazil, so that's why this summit is also popularly referred as Rio Summit. Rio Summit, my friends. Both are same summits, whether we call it Rio Summit or the Earth Summit. Names are different, but the summit is same. And the next important development that took place, that in this Rio Summit, there were launched three legally binding conventions. Three legally binding conventions. Legally binding. when we talk about legally binding conventions, we have already understood that what does it mean by legally binding convention or any legally binding treaty at the international level in our previous lecture, which was related to the Ramsar Convention. So if you want to understand what is legally binding treaty or convention, then you can watch out that video. Now, it launched 3 legally binding conventions, my friends. 3 legally binding conventions. 3 legally binding conventions. 3 legally binding conventions. One is UNCBD, United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. On biological diversity, my friends. On biological diversity. And the second summit is known as UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. And the third convention is known as UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So these are 3 legally binding conventions that were launched at the Rio Earth Summit that took place in 1992 at Rio de Janeiro, city of Brazil, my friends. Now, since these are legally binding conventions, so they need a kind of permanent mechanism, permanent architecture, permanent kind of, you can say that a body that looks over that the party countries are following the provisions of the convention. And for that purpose, each of these 3 conventions, they have their own COPs, Conference of Parties. COPs. They have their own COPs. When we talk about COP related to UNCBD, it is called COP to UNCBD. And when we talk about COP to UNCCD, it is called COP to UNCCD. And when we just talk about COP to UNFCCC, it is known as COP to UNFCCC. COP to UNFCCC. Now, why the COP was required? Why this COP was required? So when we talk about COP, my friends, that what is that COP? Whether it is related to UNFCCC or UNCCD or COP to UNCBD. What is COP, my friend? This is obvious question we should know before going into details further. This is normal question. This is basic question. We must understand, my friends. I know the requirement. So when we talk about COP, so COP is a kind of supreme decision-making body. Supreme decision-making body. It is like a supreme decision-making body associated with the particular convention. For example, COP to UNCCD, that is the supreme decision-making body of the convention. Similarly here, when we talk about COP to UNFCCC, so here as well, COP to UNFCCC is the highest decision-making body of the convention. Now, the next question is that how it is made of. So this COP is made of, it is made out of all the party countries to the convention. All the parties to the convention. So this COP includes, meaning this conference of parties include all the parties to the convention itself. Meaning if there are 197 parties to UNFCCC, so the COP to UNFCCC will be made out of 197 parties, my friends. Now, the next important thing associated with this COP is, with the COP summit, is that it is formed to have a regular review, it is formed to have a regular review of the implementation of the convention provisions. For example, conventions are adopted with respect to certain goals, certain targets, and this COP summit, meaning these COPs, they act like having a regular review. They have regular reviews about the implementation infrastructure, implementation architecture of the related convention. Now, the next important thing about COPs is that it also negotiates future course of actions, because needs with respect to environment and ecology, they are not same all the time. They keep on changing with the changing time, with the changing demand, with the changing requirement. So that's why this COP represents the dynamism related to that particular convention, meaning it also negotiates among the parties about the future course of action that is required with respect to the particular convention, whether it is UNFCCC or UNCCD or UNCBD. Now, so this is the reason that we have COPs, whether it could be related to any of the conventions. So this is all about COPs. Now talking about this COP, meaning here, because this is our mandate of today's lecture, that we are talking about COP 30 summit. So this COP to UNFCCC, meaning Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. So when we talk about COP to UNFCCC, now the question arises that what is this? So COP to UNFCCC, it is made out of 197 parties that are member to the convention UNFCCC, that are member to the convention itself. So it is made of 197 parties. Now, you may be just surprised to know, or you may have a doubt that if we know very well that there are 193 countries, UN recognized countries, then how 197 countries could be party to UNFCCC? So my friends, to clear your doubt, the parties, meaning members of UNFCCC, they also include organizations along with individual sovereign countries. So that's why this number can increase. And that's why we have 197 parties as member of UNFCCC, and that's why this COP to UNFCCC is also made out of 197 parties. Now that's clear. The next important thing now is that if we have COPs to various conventions, COP to UNCBD, COP to UNCCD, then why this COP to UNFCCC is more popular as compared to others? The reason is that since this COP sorry for that, since this COP is related to the global warming, tackling global warming and climate change, which is the key global environmental issue nowadays. Climate change is the most important, most crucial global environmental challenge nowadays. And since this COP to UNFCCC is related to tackling that global issue, meaning global warming and climate change. So that's why COP to UNFCCC remains very much in news. It is more popular as compared to other COPs related to other conventions. Now, the next important thing here is that COP to UNFCCC, it was formed after the UNFCCC was launched. But the first COP to UNFCCC, it took place only in 1995 in Berlin, in Germany. Germany, my friends. Germany. This could be important fact for your exam, so please pay attention here. The first COP, it took place in 1995 in Berlin, in Germany. Berlin, in Germany. Now, if we talk about the most important COP summits meaning COP summits related to UNFCCC. So we see that the next and the first most important summit, the first summit took place in 1995, but the first most important COP summit related to UNFCCC was COP3 summit. COP3 summit. And this COP3 summit took place in 1997 in Kyoto, my friends. Kyoto in Japan. And during this COP3 summit, a very renowned, a very popular protocol was adopted known as Kyoto Protocol. So my friends, this Kyoto Protocol is not any alien thing. It is related to the COP summits, COP to UNFCCC summits. And this Kyoto Protocol was adopted at COP3 summit that took place in Kyoto in Japan. That's why the name is Kyoto Protocol. And when we talk about this Kyoto Protocol, the objective of this protocol was to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gas emissions. To tackle the issue of climate change, my friends. So this was about COP3 summit. And after that, after COP3 summit, the next most important COP summit related to UNFCCC that took place, my friends. The next most important COP summit related to UNFCCC, it took place COP summit. It is known as COP21 summit. Sorry. And it took place in Paris, my friends. Paris in France. And it took place in 2015. It was very popular in this summit. Our Prime Minister Modi also participated. So it was very popular summit, and India led international initiative known as ISA, International Solar Alliance, that was also launched during this summit. So that's why this COP21 summit is extremely important, and this summit is also extremely important. This summit is also extremely important because of an agreement known as Paris Agreement, my friends. Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement. It was adopted during this COP21 summit that took place in 2015 at Paris in France. And these are the two most important things, two most important initiatives that make this summit very important. First is International Solar Alliance, India-led initiative. It was led by India. It is led by India. And the headquarters of ISA is situated at Gurugram in Haryana in India. So this is also very important. This could be the part of any statement in your question. So keep it in mind. And sorry, due to some congestion in the throat. So this COP21 summit, Paris Agreement was adopted. And what is this Paris Agreement about? This Paris Agreement is to hold the rise in global temperature, it is to hold the rise in global temperature, it is to hold the rise in global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, well below 2 degrees Celsius, 2 degrees Celsius. Preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius, but at least below 2 degrees Celsius as compared to the, if we just talk about pre-industrial levels. So this was the main purpose of this Paris Agreement, to hold the rise in temperature, so that we could avoid global warming and the climate change. So that's why this COP21 summit becomes extremely important for our exam. Many times, many years, in many exams, whether it is UPSC or different state PSCs, different exams, the questions have been asked from this COP21 summit. Now, similarly, we are talking about COP30 summit. COP30 summit. This is also very important summit. This also becomes very important summit. When we talk about COP30 summit, why this summit is important? Because this summit just is taking place where? In Brazil, at Belém city. This summit is taking place in Belém, in Brazil. And we know, when we talked about Earth Summit, Rio Earth Summit, it also took place in Brazil. So this is the first COP summit which is again taking place in Brazil, because the Rio Earth Summit, because UNFCCC was itself launched during sorry for that was launched during Rio Summit in Brazil. So that's why coming back to Brazil and having COP30 summit, so that's why this becomes important. It is taking place in Belém, in Brazil, and Belém is also very important. The location is also very important. The location of this summit is also very important, because Belém is situated at the edge of Amazon region. It is situated at the edge of Amazon region, Amazon rainforest region. Amazon region. It is situated, my friends, just for a second. It is situated at the Amazon rainforest region. Amazon region. Amazon rainforest region. And Belem is located at the mouth of Amazon River. Amazon River, which flows into Atlantic Ocean. So that's why the location of this COP30 summit is extremely important. And this summit also marks the completion of 10 years of the Paris Agreement. As we have talked, that Paris Agreement which was adopted during COP21 summit. So that's why this COP30 summit, which recently concluded in Brazil, in the city of Belém, which is located at the near the mouth of Amazon River, and also situated at the edge of Amazon rainforest. So that's why the COP30 summit, this summit becomes important for us. And since this is the latest summit and many crucial initiatives have also been taken in this summit, so that's why overall this summit is extremely important for us. Now, the next important thing when we talk about COP30 summit, we talk about India's participation. So my friends, from India's ambassador to Brazil, named Dinesh Bhatia. He gave India's national statement at the leaders conference of the summit. Leaders conference, or we can say leaders summit that took place on 7th of November 2025. In that summit, India's ambassador to Brazil, he participated and delivered India's national statement. This could also be the part of your question. So that's why this is extremely important to keep in mind. Now we talk about major initiatives. What are the major initiatives that have been taken during this COP30 summit? Because we know the initiatives regarding this summit, they become very important for our exam perspective. So that's why we must talk about major initiatives. And my friend, sorry for that. And my friends, when we talk about major initiatives, taken during this summit, the first initiative which remained very much in news is known as TFF. What is this? TFFF. TFFF. It is Tropical Forest Forever Facility. It is Tropical Forest Forever Facility. forever facility. As the name suggests, my friends, tropical forest. So it means this initiative is related somewhere to the protection of tropical forest. Forever facility meaning a finance type, a fund type of facility. So my friends, this is a financial mechanism. This is a funding mechanism related to the protection and preservation of tropical forests. This TFF initiative will ensure, it will ensure financing or funding to the tropical developing countries, to the developing countries of the tropical region. For what? For the protection and preservation of tropical forests in those countries. For the protection and preservation of tropical forests in those countries. So this is a kind of financing funding initiative which is for the developing countries of tropical region, because those countries are important. They are protecting and preserving tropical forests. And why tropical forests are important? Tropical forests are globally important for the protection of environment and ecology, for the global biodiversity. So that's why we should provide some funding to those tropical countries that are protecting and preserving tropical forests. So that is the main purpose of this TFF initiative. Now, my friends, the next major initiative that was taken during this summit is named as Baku to Belem Roadmap. It remained very much in news. Baku to Belem Roadmap. Baku to Belem Roadmap. Belem Roadmap, my friends. Roadmap. Baku to Belem Roadmap. What is this Baku to Belem Roadmap? This Baku to Belem Roadmap. And why this is named as Baku to Belem? We know COP30 summit, which is currently taking place in Belém city of Brazil, and COP29 summit. COP29 summit that took place in 2024 in Baku of Azerbaijan. So that's why this initiative is named as Baku to Belem Roadmap, meaning roadmap which was initiated at the previous COP summit, meaning COP29 summit, should be continued to COP30 summit as well. And this roadmap, this Baku to Belem roadmap, it talks about to scale up the climate financing, my friends. To scale up the climate financing, just a second, to scale up climate financing to at least $1.3 trillion, to at least $1.3 trillion per year by 2035. So this is the purpose of this Baku to Belem roadmap, which is one of the key initiatives that took place during this COP30 summit. This is the mandate purpose of this roadmap. Sorry for that. So this is the entire purpose of this roadmap, meaning to scale the climate financing to at least $1.3 trillion per year by 2035. Because when we talk about tackling challenges related to climate change and global warming, they need financing. They need financing. Because specifically talking about developing countries, they do not much contribute in the global warming. They also do not have that much historical role in the global warming. But when we talk about tackling the issues related to global warming and climate change, so we see the major burden is shifted towards the developing countries. So to avoid that, so that developing countries, they have the finances, they have the funds to deal with the climate related issues. This roadmap talks about that. Now, the next initiative that took place during this summit is known as BLM 4X Please. BLM 4X Please. BLM 4X Please. What is this 4X Please? Meaning 4 times. It talks about 4 times, something 4 times. Now let us see. This is a presidency-led initiative. This is a presidency-led initiative. Presidency meaning, if the summit is taking place in Brazil, so the presidency is with the Brazil. So meaning Brazil is the president of COP30 summit. So this initiative is led by Brazil, presidency-led initiative. And it is objected, it is mandated to quadruple meaning 4 times. Quadruple meaning 4 times. Quadruple the production and uses. Production and uses of what? Production and uses of sustainable fuels. Of what? Of sustainable fuels. Sustainable fuels. Sustainable fuels meaning biofuels, biogas, biodiesel, sustainable fuels. Meaning they do not cause much harm to the environment and ecology. Those types of fuels. So it talks about that we should increase the production and use of sustainable fuel by 4 times by 2035. By 2035, meaning up to 2035 we should increase the use and production of sustainable sorry for that the use and production of sustainable fuels 4 times as we use today. So this is the mandate, this is the objective of this Brazil, meaning presidency-led initiative. Now the next initiative, my friends, related to this COP30 summit, which is also the last major initiative, is known as Global Mutirao Agreement. It is known as Global Mutirao Agreement. Global Mutirao Agreement. My friends, it is known as Global Mutirao Agreement. And this was recently very much in news, my friends, specifically Mutirao Agreement. Everybody, every news channel, every newspaper was talking about this Mutirao Agreement. So it becomes very important for our exam perspective. So let us see what is this Mutirao Agreement. It is the final political agreement. It is the final political agreement. It is a kind of final political agreement. final political agreement that took place at this summit, that took place at this COP30 summit, final political agreement. And this is related, or this is addressing, this initiative is addressing issues related to finance, adaptation, etc. Meaning environment related initiatives, environment related issues. So this is a global Mutirao agreement. Why this is known as Mutirao agreement? My friends, the term Mutirao is a traditional Brazilian term, Brazilian and also Spanish Brazilian term, and it means Mutirao, it means collective mobilization, and this final political agreement that took place at COP30 summit, it is named the Global Mutirao Agreement because to highlight the collective efforts, the requirement, the need of collective efforts to tackle the issue of climate change. So we largely consider that to tackle global warming, to tackle climate change, this is the issue of governments. But this Global Mutirao Agreement, it highlights, the name highlights that this is not just limited to the governments. It also needs the participation and support of various communities, various individuals, organizations. Sorry. So this Mutirao Agreement, it highlights the requirement of collective efforts to deal with the issues related to global warming and climate change, meaning participation of individuals, organizations, civil societies, etc. Sorry for that. So this is Mutirao is a traditional Brazilian term, Brazilian Spanish term, which means collective mobilization. Remember, my friends, I am again saying to you that this could be the part of the question. This was very much in news, and they can frame a question like that recently Mutirao Agreement was very much in news. So what does the term Mutirao means here? So they can frame any question related to this Mutirao Agreement. So that's why it becomes extremely important for us as aspirants that we keep it in mind. Now, finally, my friends, we have an MCQ for you. You need to just consider this MCQ, the statements given, and find out right answer of the MCQ question. And my friends, reply the answer in the comment section below to have the open review of the answer. Now let us see. This MCQ, it talks about, it says, with reference to India's position, with reference to India's position at COP30, consider the following statements. The first statement says, India supported setting up a just transition mechanism under UNFCCC. Just transition mechanism. Just transition mechanism. What does it mean? It means a mechanism, a transition mechanism, which talks about shift from the fuels, the things that cause environmental damage, to the clean mechanisms, meaning clean fuel, like we talk about green hydrogen, when we talk about green fuels. So that's why, meaning shifting from the systems, the traditional systems that we have now, to environment friendly systems, transition. And that transition should be justified, meaning there should not be any kind of harm to any developing country or the poor of that developing country, or we can say that the labor force of that country. So that's why this transition mechanism should be justified. So the first statement said India supported setting up a just transition mechanism under UNFCCC. You have to consider that if this statement is right or wrong. The second is India opposed unilateral trade related climate measures such as carbon border tax. This is a tax imposed by the importing country on those products that involve the greenhouse gas emission, carbon emission. So that's why this is known as carbon border tax. Next statement says India formally joined TFFF facility, as we have talked earlier. Formally joined TFFF as a full contributing member. Remember, it is saying full contributing member. Now, you have to consider all these three statements, and then find out right answer. Which of the above statements are correct? Option A says 1 and 3, B says 1 and 2, C says 2 and 3, and D says all of the above. So now, my friends, you have to find out the right option and reply in the comment section below. This was all about today's lecture. It was very much in news, and many questions could be asked from this development in our upcoming exams. So that's why we tried to discuss various things. Sorry for that. Various things associated this COP30 development. Due to some congestion in the throat, my friends, there might have been some disturbances in between. Sorry for that. Extremely sorry for that. That is natural and can happen because of some congestion in the throat. So I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and we'll keep on bringing similar lectures over the developments that are taking place at current perspective, meaning current developments, global developments taking place in various forms, in various fields, and related to our syllabus. So we'll keep on bringing similar lectures for you. And last but not the least, I would like to inform you people, my friends, that very soon we are going to start our completely new English medium batches of General Studies Foundation course, pre-commence, for English medium aspirants of IAS and PCS exams. So those of you who are interested, they can contact at our offline center located at Band Road, Elenganj, Prayagraj. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.